Now, that's one thing that you look at it critically. Ruto just is throwing things to us so that we can reject them.
By the CEO at IBC has actually very much matured. You get people coming to actually benchmark with the secretariat. So IBC, the secretariat, is actually well professional.
Yes, guys, welcome back to our YouTube channel. Guys, in 2027 kutakuwa na fireworks, and in this video don't try to swipe up, na nasema thanks for your great support ambayo umekuwa ukisupport hii video. Kwa hiyo like yako nasema asanteni sana kuendelea kulike na kusupport hii channel. Nyinyi ni watu wa nguvu. Thanks so extensive. Kwa hivyo guys, kulingana na Pastor NDURA, William Ruto has decided to nominate ERUSTUS Ethekon kama IEBC chairperson. And kulingana na Pastor NDURA, anatuambia kwamba hii ni one way ya William Ruto ku-exit 2027 presidential seat. And kulingana na hii new generation, wanasema kwamba even if William Ruto atanominate Faruku Kibet ama Oscar Sudi kama IEBC chairperson, hii ni wakati wa mabadiliko. And same to Pastor NDURA. And same to Rigathi Gachagua. Unaona watu wangu? And Pastor NDURA anatuambia kwamba William Ruto has decided to throw things to Kenyans ili wa reject, ndo aweze kunominate mtu na ambaye ataenda kurig election. Unaona watu wangu? Huyu ERUSTUS Ethekon inaaminika kwamba atakuwa fair. Atafanya fair and free election in 2027. But now William Ruto has decided to nominate him ili Wakenya wafanye nini? Wamreject ndo wanominate mtu mwingine. Na tayari kuna baadhi ya Wakenya wameanza kuwa na wasiwasi na wameanza kufanya nini? Kushambulia huyu ERUSTUS Ethekon ili William Ruto aweze kumkick out. Unaona watu wangu? So kwa hii video iko na more than 30 minutes and I want you to pay attention. Usikize step by step. Don't try to swipe up watu wangu. Kulingana na Rigathi Gachagua pia, guys, I want you to listen. Rigathi Gachagua's team, especially Stephen Kalonzo, wanataka William Ruto aweze kukick out huyu ERUSTUS Ethekon. And don't forget, Morara Kebaso was telling us the deal between Stephen Kalonzo and William Samoei Arap Ruto, kwamba kuna zile do weekly Stephen Kalonzo anapewa na serikali ya William Ruto secretly. And now ukiangalia Stephen Kalonzo is trying to fight ERUSTUS Ethekon.
We want to tell Kalonzo Musyoka to stop complaining and go to the ground to go and hunt for votes. You cannot chagua jembe and you want to dig. Mchagua jembe sio mkulima.
Unaona watu wangu? Ili William Ruto kick out, ili waweze kunominate another person. Unaona watu wangu? Kuna game inaendelea and Wakenya wanafaa kuwa keen kabisa. And that's why unaona Rigathi Gachagua anatofautiana na Stephen Kalonzo. Believe me guys, in this video I want you to pay attention, but make sure umelike video ili kuonyesha kwamba una support hii channel. Without wasting time, wale wageni ambao wanatazama kwa mara ya kwanza, please guys, ensure una subscribe hapo chini na una like video ili kuonyesha kwamba pia utakuwa mfuasi wa hii channel watu wangu. Na target yetu ni kufika 100,000 subscribers. Tutakuwa fiti tena zaidi. Unaona watu wangu? Kwa hivyo guys, tunataka tuanze na kikosi cha Gen Z ambao wamekuwa kwa TV discussing about 2027 election and about this IEBC chairperson. And kisha guys, nilikwambia most of the time huwa natumia Pastor NDURA ku predict what is coming. Pastor NDURA is telling us. And Pastor NDURA mafikirio yake yanaambatana na ya Rigathi Gachagua. Unaona watu wangu? Sikiza mambo.
According to NDURA Warwingi, President Ruto might have unwittingly set himself up not for a second term, but for an early exit through the nomination of these IEBC commissioners.
Yet it is advantageous. It is this. There is this person that has been nominated to be the chairman. of the IEBC. One thing, and that's why I say there's some things Ruto is doing that are so provocative. This is a relative of Nanok. Nanok was previously
Governor for Turkana.
and this guy worked for Nanok. Therefore, if you look at it, State House has a hand over this guy who was nominated. They could have nominated Nyachai, but it couldn't work. They saw Nyachai cannot be.
Why not Nyachai?
Nyachai is not a strategist. This guy with Nanok, this Turkana guy, is a strategist. Yeah, he's a planner. He's somebody who can make things work. Nyachai is more of political. He's aloof. He can make a lot of blunders because he will be trying to justify something. And when you try to justify something, Nyachai is a strong man. Is a little bit hard to bend. If you look at what his father used to be, he has some characteristics, and somehow they feared him for that. They would rather give him a seat as a commissioner, but not as a chair. Now, that's one thing that you look at it critically. Ruto just is throwing things to us so that we can reject them. And then leaks the information about that person so that we can reject him. Or the parliament can reject him. Number one. Number two scenario that is so disadvantageous to Ruto, if it goes through, then it's most likely some Waruinges somewhere will recall the parliament. We put signatures around there and they say now the parliament should be brought down. And again, this also, which could be advantageous or disadvantageous to Ruto, all the MPs who are dead, the MCS who are dead, will have by-elections. Ruto will use that to gauge.
You'll use now the advantage of the availability of the commissioners.
Yes, to gauge his popularity in Mount Kenya, to gauge his popularities around
in Nyanza,
and all these places. Like now we have this one where this guy was killed. So this IEBC, the coming of IEBC, is a 50-50 thing for Ruto. It will work or might not work for Ruto. But if it works, it will work still to bring him down. And if it fails to work, it will fail to work also to bring him down. There is a question you had asked me that we said April things will go up and down for Ruto and maybe he will not be in power. According to what I know, the push to remove Ruto was like suspended for a few days. Because they saw if they push to bring Ruto down and there was no IEBC, then whatever they will do will be in crisis because there will be no...
It will be constitutional crisis.
It will be a constitutional crisis. So they will both lose it and somebody can come and take it. It was a strategic shift towards the month of May and the month of June. That is when you see now the shenanigans. And because the name has been taken to parliament, they will take it as it is. They will not oppose it. Even all members of parliament, they will not oppose him. Of course, some people will try to go to court, but they will not oppose him. Why? Because all what they want is to have an institution called IEBC in place to avoid another crisis. Should we go to 2025? According to Kriegler report says, the commissioner, the chair, or the commission must be in place at least 2 years prior to the election. Should we delay again, it means the election will be postponed because we will not be within the 2 years, according to the Kriegler verdict. So all these things are working, and now the stage is set for the removal of Ruto. It is now, and if it fails now, then, but right now, this is the season. So now, because Ruto knows this is what they plan to do, he will use a situation to cramp down the nation so that a state of emergency can be witnessed.
So, in layman's language, those who are planning to remove the president, I don't know whether the Raila camp, I'm not sure.
There's no Raila Uhuru camp. That's one camp,
Uh.
but splitting itself into two.
So the people, the same forces that are planning to remove the president, they would use the availability of the commissioners.
Of course, if not unless you are not planning to overthrow the government. If you're planning to use legal constitutional way, you must wait until the commission is there.
And once the commissioners are put in office,
the leader will be out of the government. Once they are put in the office and they are running, they will now push to bring him down. Because they don't want to be seen like they overthrew the government. And because if they pushed it in that direction and there was no commission, Ruto would be justified to use the army to cause a state of emergency. Because he is called to protect the constitution. And that's part of it, to protect the constitution against anybody who can intrude when this body is not existing. Because you cannot call for a referendum if this body is not in. You cannot call like now what Gachagua happened to Gachagua. It was illegal because this body was not there. Because when Kindiki was given the deputy president, it is this commission that should have okayed him. And they should have not been a member of parliament. Was he a member of parliament?
Kindiki?
No. Yeah. He should not have been in a position that he was for about 2 months or 6 months. It's 6 months. 6 months. So he is in office illegally. If the constitution was to be followed properly, he was in office illegally. There is no justification from the IBC. There is no justification from all the signatures and all the requirement that was required for him to become a deputy president. Nothing was followed. So when Akina Uhuru access, Matiang'i access, and these other people access, discovered that we don't have an IBC, they slowed the move. That is why April failed. But now, May will work for them as they will push. By next week, we shall be having a commissioner in place.
A new commission.
A new commission in place.
Now, just to rewind back, you have said that once this commission is in place, perhaps the president might use it
to test waters.
His popularity. How is he planning to use it?
He's planning to, like now we have the Embu guy.
Ruto.
Geoffrey. They are going to bring in a strong candidate and see whether he can win
the
elections in the wave that it is. Then this other team will push for their candidate that they start winning election, who will be the firstborn of that other coalition, or the Matiang'i coalition. That could be the firstborn. Of course, the other Nyanza, the ODM guy will win. Whoever that is going to be nominated will make it. Will make it. But in this place, Mount Kenya, where we have vacancy, it is a test for Ruto.
For President Ruto's popularity in Mount Kenya.
Yes.
So if he wins, he might have hopes.
If he wins, it means that he's in charge, he's controlling. Wamunyoro is not in control. That is where now Wamunyoro will camp. Right now, he's camping, and you see most of the delegates that are going to Wamunyoro, they are from there. He's mobilizing, he's doing his DO kind of activities. You know him, he was a DO. This is now you will see his DO, like what he did in Banana when this Kawanjiro came to power, to become an MP.
So if President Ruto's candidate loses, then
they will have to rework again. They have to re-strategize. That one might cause Uhuru to go slow because they have seen they have the grip. If they lose, they will not go slow. They will push to make sure they have won the hearts of the people. But if they win, it might make them comfortable. We have it.
So if President Ruto's candidate loses here, then that will be a clear message that Central region,
we are not with you. Yes. And it will be a landslide. It will be a landslide. And that will be the end of Kindiki. Kindiki will never be in the ballot. What you heard Mudavadi saying, Kindiki will never be on the ballot. Because what is he offering? The seat of deputy president is meant to offer, to bring votes. Right now, as it is, there is nothing to offer.
Kindiki doesn't have the muscle to lure people into...
He can't make it. He can't make it. Himself, if he goes to buy, he won't get it. He doesn't have the caliber of Wakashagwa. He doesn't have the caliber of the person like Medal or other people around. He doesn't have that caliber. He's not even, you cannot even make him an equivalent of Mburia Puri. Mburia Puri will outsmart him very early in the day. This guy is an office guy, a blue, what do you call it?
You say a blue eye.
A blue what? Blue. The people, the technocrat. He's a technocrat. He's a lawyer, a smart lawyer. Those people who build their own walls and live there. But he akwenda kupaka matope pale atakwambia usuyu. There's a day he was, I think it's KTN or Nation, and they were doing a live interview, and he was accused of something. And they said, do you know, I'll get to sue you. Do you know what you accuse me in front of a national TV? Do you know, I'm going to sue you. The guy had to retract because he thought we were debating. And in a debate, you can be accused of anything. So he threatened them that I'm going to sue. That's the nature of Kindiki. Yes.
Now, you have also said that in as much as the president has forwarded somebody who many feel will favor his re-election in 2027,
yes,
this might still work against him.
It will work against him because the door has opened. Now,
for a constitutional amendment.
Anything that we need that requires constitution because they have to approve it, it will work.
That includes the president's impeachment.
Yes.
IEBC question. Remember, we now have 6 names. A communication has already been sent to Parliament, the National Assembly. The Justice and Legal Affairs Committee will have to start the process actually this week of vetting or looking at the names, the 6 names led by ERUSTUS Ethekon, who's been nominated for chairperson, and give the report by 27th of this month. Morara, from where you sit, do you look at the list with a lot of confidence that this is a team that will deliver a free, fair and credible election?
Even if Farouk Kibet is the chairman of IEBC, William Ruto will still lose the 2027 election.
You just have to go that direction.
Even if Farouk Kibet is the chair of the IEBC, he will still lose 2027 election. Why? Because you cannot rig an election that is beyond an election. I don't think 2027 is an election. It is a fight for survival. 2027 is not just an election. It is an election where agents will not be paid. 2027 is an election where people will volunteer to be agents. 2027 is an election where people will vote and not be in a hurry to go home. They'll stay and count their vote. 2027 is an election where we've said if William Ruto is announced the winner, then we don't have a country. Because it's an election that he must lose by all standards.
He already lost.
In fact, he's lost it. We are waiting for the announcement.
For the confirmation.
So that's why I'm telling you, personally, I have no problem with the IEBC. I know the characters that have been put there. I know that one of the IEBC commissioners is actually a person of who had a corruption case in the NYS. I know that one of the persons who has been put there is a relative of a politician who is senior in government. I know that. But I want to assure them, the IEBC commissioners, take your seats. Sit at the IEBC. Prepare an election for us. And see if there is any way that William Ruto will win the 2027 election. And what I can tell you is this. You see, rigging is also mathematics. You can't rig 1 million votes. You only rig when you are at 50, you just want +1. Rigging is a logistical nightmare in the more than 40,000 polling stations in the country. So if anybody is thinking, and I've heard this braggadocio from people from government and UDA saying they'll rig the 2027 election, I want to assure them they will not rig it. They will not rig that election. And it's not because Morara said It's because the Kenyan people have said they will not rig that election. That election will be by the Kenyan people, for the Kenyan people, and if William Ruto loses, then I don't know whether we'll still have Kenya.
Wins or
if he wins. So 2027, whether it's Farouk Kibetu is the chair of IEBC, whether it is Ethekon, we are ready for war.
But first of all, as a country, we have never standardized the process of bringing in commissioners. The secretariat that is actually led by the CEO at IEBC has actually very much matured. You get people coming to actually benchmark with the secretariat. So IEBC, the secretariat, is actually well professional. Look at how they ran the elections last year. That particular, if it were not for a secretariat that knew how to do its job, probably Makoure would not be going around. And by the way, when I see Makoure saying that he can address 15,000 people in Busia, the one thing he's not telling people is that by joining ODM, now Makoure can actually address 15,000 people in Busia, he can address people in Homa Bay, big crowds without running steeplechase, like he was doing while he was on this other side.
Honorable party leader of the PPA, you are running a sphere campaign.
I'm just saying that now, Kasmuel can actually address masses, and those are Kenyans as well, without necessarily having to run steeplechase. And voters, those are Kenyans. So on the IBC issue, it is important to state that the secretariat has come of age. Everybody is coming to benchmark with them. But when it comes to the policy level, the policy, rather the let me just call it the board itself, for purposes of lack of a proper language. The board, the leadership of the EMB, the commissioners, we have never had a standard way of bringing them on board. We are not learning. Somehow, people have just to come up with very clever ways. Like, for example, how is this process even free and fair when we had already started a process earlier on with Makanda, of course, the chair, and some other people, and then we stopped that particular process, changed the laws. Imagine changing the rules of a game midway. And then so whatever we have here, and by the way, I do not have confidence in that particular team, but I have got confidence, number one, in two things. In the law of Kenya and the people of Kenya. Okay. It is impossible for anyone. You know, he was talking about how you rig. I have done a course somewhere for how you actually can rig effectively. But the best way to rig,
you are an expert on rigging.
I don't want to actually confirm or deny, but I've done a course somewhere.
Yes, pursued knowledge. You cannot demonize knowledge now.
You cannot refuse to take knowledge.
You cannot demonize knowledge.
Learning how.
Did you apply that knowledge in 2022 while you are in UDA?
Look at this. If you have to stop rigging, if you have to stop rigging, you have to know how to rig. That's how you stop rigging. If you don't know how to rig, you cannot stop.
How is an election rigged?
I just wanted to
give us a crash program.
I wanted to build on this point.
No, just
the how bit of it is actually classified for the time being, because you will actually take some of the strategies the National Alternative Alliance wants to use. We will win this election by then. That's why
without rigging.
We shall win. By all means necessary.
I'm saying the election will be won.
I wanted to say this.
You've raised a very interesting point.
I want to actually say this. I was building on that. It's still the same thing. Allow me not to lose my train of thought. Okay. I wanted to say this. You can only rig an election if you have got less, as in a maximum of 2.5% margin. For or against. That you can play. Once it gets to 3%, all alarms go off. And that is why once data starts streaming in during an election, even if you played around with this one is what you report and this is the other one that you report, if you leave it, by the time it hits the 3%, it is already indicative, ordinarily. And that is why the Tarakaniti thing remains a mystery. That since then, 2007, they are still smaller than the two constituencies that make Shinyalu and Ikolomani, for example.
Okay. So 2.5% is about how many votes?
The margin. I'm talking about
like how many votes?
It's
100,000, 50,000. Let's think about it. If 16 million people show up just chapter 2.5,
you work around that. I'm saying within that particular margin. But it's
about 400,000 votes.
Once you are headed,
allowable.
That one can be played around with, either by suppression or you bring it up. There are so many ways, but this is not an election management class.
Okay.
So having said that, I just needed to say this, that from where we sit, IBC as is, I am not worried about the people that the 6 plus the commissioner. What we are just telling them.
That's the chair.
Yes, I am not worried about them because the process that has brought them to vetting and even to office is not a process that is above. You know, even hiring, the way we have hired the IBC commissioners is worse than how people hire their house girls. People ask questions, as in the standard of hiring a house girl is actually much higher than the standard through which we have actually hired these people. It's their relatives, it's their cronies, and their friends. So there's nothing here. Whatever was happening, that selection panel you saw was doing a PR exercise, because everybody, if you have not been told to apply, you don't apply. Unless you just want to be shortlisted, and then of course tell people that I was shortlisted for IBC. But if you wanted the IBC job, you had to be asked to apply. So any other thing you
So
see
the
out
list
there-
was ready before it was.
So for me, we just want a fully constituted IBC so that the 16 areas that do not have representation get their leaders.
Okay.
Otherwise, I am not worried about those people. Those are friends that have been handpicked. It's worse than how you hire your house girl.
It actually seems to me that there was a deliberate attempt to exclude the youth.
Not deliberate.
They say he's slightly younger. He's 40.
You see, you're even using the word slightly to try and find younger in that slightly.
He's a very senior Gen Z.
He's a very senior youth.
Yes.
No, let me tell you this.
60 defines who a youth is.
There was very
It's only 10 years
deliberate. It
above
was
that.
very deliberate to exclude the youth, because the president of the day, William Ruto, believes that every youth is an enemy. He doesn't feel he can trust any youth. He believes all the youth are against him, and if he puts the youth, it's too much a risk. I can give you an example of people that applied that are overqualified but never got even shortlisted. But when I went through the shortlist, I found people with much less qualifications shortlisted. So then I asked myself, what was the basis for shortlisting? Because my belief is that shortlisting should be on the basis of merit. It should not be on the basis of maybe chronism or how well you know people in power.
Okay.
Even my own brother applied, and I'm not defending him because he's my brother.
Is it the one
He
that
has
say
his-
he was very qualified?
he has his own rights as a Kenyan, educated. He has, let me just tell you, he has a first-class honors in law from the University of Nairobi. He has a master's in law from the University of Nairobi. He has a JD from Harvard Law School, the best law school in the whole world. He is a certified public accountant. He is a certified public secretary. He has more than 10 years experience in the practice of law with his own law firm. But he couldn't get on the short list. But when I saw the people who've been shortlisted, then I asked myself, okay, so I know this guy, because we are in the same family. This guy, even if they were going to deny him the opportunity, why didn't they give him an opportunity to be on the short list just to interview, so that then they hear what this person has come to say? So you see, this person was deliberately excluded, and that's just one example, and it's easier for me to explain that example because it's someone I know.
Okay. I need to pass my congratulations to my former Vice Chancellor, Emeritus Professor Francis Adol. I served in the Students' Council when he was there, and I know that he is one man I can vouch for. But I would love to send my congratulations to him. The election ends at the polling station. It speaks to the first article of the Constitution that all sovereign power lies with the people. The IBC, for all I care, could be headed by the president himself in an election that he is contesting. But the voice of the people is the voice of God. Vox Populi et Voice Dei. The people will speak for themselves. And this time, tutalinda kura at every polling station. And you see, this will be very difficult to read because there will be several interest groups. And one interest group that people have fought for far too long sought to galvanize and to ensure they don't pay attention to the processes are my age mates. And us, we are the guys who think elections are too hectic, you can't stand in line for that long. And this time, these are people who said they're interested in the election. And the thing about us is we don't care. We will just tally it. You see, our parents, it's easy to lie to them. I saw the other time the election, Citizen TV had shown that Ruto had 44 million views, votes. And I can prove it. It was a typing error, of course, from maybe editorial.
Yes.
But for us, we don't take any of these figures lightly. So for me, the IEBC is a different animal. But then I look at this, and speaking about IEBC, I have to play a bit of politics because I'm a politician. I saw the former deputy president of the country saying that the Gen Z wachukue kura. You can allow Rigathi Gachagua to mobilize Gen Z for votes, and I cannot go out and ask young people to register. That is a joke. Two, he was saying in 2013, the Supreme Court pronounced itself and said this and that about the election. You need to interrogate which side he was on. That ruling, that landmark ruling that came from my party's contestation, this is the one that now he is quoting, telling us that the Supreme Court already declared itself. Be it as it may, we are in a very monumental moment where we owed to each other and to our nation to come together in a popular democratic movement. And this movement is not only limited to the youth. We intend to work with every facet of society, but we have said, because youth is what we know, just the same way tribalism is what legacy politicians know. Because you find a politician like Silvana Sosoro standing in front of a rally to excite people and says, and that was in a church, could be today actually, and says that those other people don't have an agenda, they are just lazy, that if you are in government, tetea government, give money as sadaka to the church. If you feel sadaka is too heavy, pangisha watu laini wapatie pesa. That is your majority whip. And I am quoting him verbatim. That's what he said. And they sit down and people are applauding. And they stand up and in their efforts to glorify the defunct king, they say all sorts of things. And that is what we are saying as young people. Regardless of whatever it is that you have, we are coming through with a new political agenda. And this political agenda is based on the greater good for the country. It is based on ideology and philosophical greater good for our country. And because the other people have decided they know tribalism, they know cronism, they know the politics of money, what we are saying is, as young people, our starting point is, we know virtue, we know that we are young, and we know where we can find each other in these young spaces. And that's where we are starting from.
Thank you, Kazmal. My name is James from Homa Bay. Kindly ask Morara that if he is not with the government, what was he doing in Ruto's rally?
There is a photo that is doing rounds on social media, and because I intend to be an honest and accountable leader, I don't intend to lie or to repeat the mistakes of the leaders that we have in government today, who lie and deny everything, actually, even what we can see. Indeed, it is true that several years ago I participated in a rally where William Ruto was present. It was not even a rally, it was actually a launch of a project, a water project in Kegati in Kisii, which I was involved in.
When was that?
I think it was in about 3 years ago, if not 2 years
2022.
ago. Yep, thereabout. Now, at that time, one, had participated in the project, and secondly, all right, I had not yet understood the government of William Ruto because it was new. I had not seen it kill Gen Zs at that point. I had not seen the deterioration of the economy at that point. I was hopeful like every other Kenyan. Remember, 7.1 million people voted for William Ruto. I am one of them that voted for William Ruto, the 7.1 million of us. Now, it cannot be a disqualification for leadership that if you voted, if you are among the 7.1 million people that voted or even participated or attended a Ruto rally, then you cannot aspire for leadership. All of us are disappointed, and it's okay to be disappointed, because at that point in time, we thought then probably he has sold us a promise. You see, William Ruto sold a promise. He sold a promise to the extent that people are willing to forget his ills, to forget the corruption scandals he had participated in, and try and buy into this promise that he was promising. So when he has been unable to deliver, that is when we went to the streets. Even the Gen Zs did not go to demonstrate in 2022. They didn't go to demonstrate in 2023. They went to demonstrate in 2024 when it became unbearable. Therefore, anything ya huko nyuma, wachana nayo. It's like saying I cannot marry because I have a baby mama.
So that's an old photo.
It's a very old photo. It's a very old photo, and I'm not the only leader or aspiring leader who has ever met President William Ruto. Every single other person, Raila has a photo with William Ruto. Rigathi Gachagua, who some people support, has a photo, not just a photo, he's been with William Ruto through and through.
Okay.
Matiang'i has a photo with William Ruto, several of them with William Ruto. In fact, before William Ruto left, he met Kina Matiang'i.
Okay.
Linturi has a photo with William Ruto. Bedan Muturi has a photo with William Ruto. Martha Karua has a photo with William Ruto. Kasmuel Makore has a photo with William Ruto. Anol Maliba has a photo with William Ruto.
Emmanuel To has a photo with
Emmanuel To has a photo with William Ruto. So if you are killing me for ever being in the same picture frame with William Ruto, then begin with these ones.
This is Kibet from Eldoret. He says, it's a bit, I'm not understanding it well, but he's saying that the end of it is this guy Kasmuel is contradicting himself. He was in Chungwa recently. He's now in government,
and nobody can say that they have seen me saying that I want any position. Nobody has seen me saying that I want any money from government. If anything, I wrote to the president and said, I do not want a job, I do not want money, I do not want fame or a position. What I want is you give me justice. And my argument was, when I see people shake the president's hand, people who are far less qualified, people who are far less educated, and they can stand there and tell the president, Rais tupatie 20 million tufanye hivi. I was saying, as a person who shook his hand for free, I realized that I was foolish, that if you shake the president's hand, it should count for something. So I was saying, I shook your hand that other time, and because I have seen your handshake cost at a very least 20 million. 20 million could be enough for us to litigate the courts that are lying in court for the people who've killed us. So instead of you giving me 20 million, please just give me justice for the people who shot at people last year. And so here at Chungwa, you have not seen me once say that I am angling for. There's only one position that I am angling for, and we are in an elective period. So hata mimi nimeenda nimejiweka katika uchaguzi. I have subjected myself to the electoral process. When it comes, I shall nitakubali matokeo. And I have consistently told people that I do not need to be a project here. I believe that I have the convincing capability, and that's why we are just 2 levels away from the election. However it is going to come, I shall still stay here to strengthen, revitalize, and in the party.
Vying?
For what? I'm currently vying. We are in an electoral process, I'm telling you.
No, I'm saying in 2027, are you going to...
2027 is too far. But you see now...
But these already know that they are going to vie for president.
Yes.
So
that is totally fine. But now I'm
doing public participation.
I'm in a party, then you'll find that maybe I'm not as popular of a candidate in 2027.
But do you have
and somebody else will...
MP, Senator, MCA?
I mean, eventually I would love to change the country somehow. What if I have to go into communications into one of these presidential teams? You see, that is why I need to consult.
So no elective position for you in 2027, is that so?
For now, I am subjecting myself to the party.
Okay.